Right, so we're here with the man himself, the myth, the legend, the godfather of Denmark, sometimes the grandfather of Denmark as well, some would say. Hunden's with us today after a very successful week of Counter-Strike. He is, of course, the in-game leader for Mad Lions, formerly known as Splice, and very recently they did move out of the Tricked Esports organization into Mad Lions. They've recently also qualified for the IEM Katowice 2020 and DreamHack Masters, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing, not DreamHack Masters, DreamHack Open, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly. Leipzig, 2020.
That's true.
Great,
Yeah,
fantastic,
that's true.
and Hunting. Firstly, mate, congratulations on those two. That is a huge achievement for you guys, and I'm sure you guys must be really happy with that. I'm sure your organization must be really happy with that. What's the team like right now?
We are really hyped right now, and we are really, really happy. When we saw the qualifier, when we saw who was invited for this qualifier, we thought we had a really good chance to qualify for Katowice this year. So that was amazing. So we started practice really, really early. I think we started the 2nd January or something like that,
Yeah.
and we have played for like 10 hours each day.
Oof.
So we really wanted to qualify for this tournament, and when we saw we had to play against North in the open qualifier, we was like, ooh, it could end up in a 50-50 game. But we was really, really prepared for that game, and we won it pretty easy, in my opinion.
Was it a best of three in the open qualifier? Because I actually didn't catch the open qualifiers. Was it best of three?
Yeah, yeah. The last match, the semis, was best of 3. So we won 2-0. I think it was 16-8, 16-4. So that was a really, really sick game by us, and we were really happy afterwards.
No, that's fantastic. Actually, you guys lost 2-1 to North as well a couple of weeks ago at the DreamHack Open. So obviously, I'm sure the boys must be very happy to give some payback out of it there as well. But speaking of the boys, you have a very young squad overall. So, you've got a lot of fresh talent. You've got a lot of players who people might know from here or there if they've been following the scene. So I personally have casted a few of them, but Bubsky, most notably from Fractures and whatnot. But you've been with this team, most of 2019. And the results are clearly visible of them leveling up. How does it feel to you, with all of your wealth of experience? You're kind of a father figure in this team, and you're surrounded by all this young, fresh talent. How does it feel to you being able to nurture a team like this for an entire year?
It's amazing to finally have the same lineup for pretty much a whole year. We changed few players this year and Bo up in the summer vacation, but we had the same 4 players for pretty much 9
Yeah,
months or something like that. I have never tried that before.
yeah,
Since my players always get bought by Heroic or something like that. So it was nice to finally have the same lineup, and I am actually pretty sure with some of the older lineups of Tricked as well, we could have breakthrough as well, but we didn't
mm.
have the time to do it. So this time is pretty special, and all of us is believing in each other, and that's something new for me as well. And it's pretty amazing to experience this part of Counter Strike as well.
Well, actually, that's a interesting point you brought up. I was going to ask you this later on, but this is the perfect time. So you've actually brought this entire issue of poaching up in the past as well. So you said that hey, no matter what you do, the problem is that you play real Counter Strike. So your players also become real players. They become real prospects for other teams to just come in and pick up. It's a bit of a problem for you because that's on one end you're making an excellent player, but on the other end you're just having it stolen away. Now that you're in Mad Lions, which is obviously a much bigger organization, there's a lot more money behind it. There's a lot more investment in it. How does that change now?
I think it changed it that way that we are not in the bottom of the food chain anymore in the Danish CS. The level between us, Heroic, and North is pretty much the same, and we have pretty much the same contracts, all of us as well. So no one wants to move to one of the other teams now because it's the same salaries, the same everything. So everything is close to each other now, and that's perfect for me because now I can build up the team and become the second best Danish team. Because I don't think there's anyone in Denmark right now that can compete with Astralis. So in Denmark, we're just fighting for the second spot in Denmark, and that's how it is right now, I guess.
Well, I think there's very few people in the world who can compete with Astralis, in all fairness. So,
Yeah,
you,
that's true.
you don't really have too much of a problem over there. But, Hunden, we have to be honest here. It's been, what, I think the last time you played in a major event was, not like a major, but a bigger event was back in 2014 or something on those lines. And that was DreamHack Open Winter from what I checked. Uh, I have to be straight up with you. Why has a Hunden team not made it to a big event in so long?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's because the food chain in Denmark has been so hard to me. Like every time I created a player, as you said, he has been stolen to a better team, and that's hard to live with because you have to make results instantly if you want to make it to the bigger tournaments at that point. But after we won V4 in Budapest, I think we made that agreement on this team that we would stick together for 3 months if we didn't get a better contract, as we did here with Matt Lyons. We could end up leaving for other teams, and that was fair enough because no one should say no to that amount of money some of the teams can offer them. So we decided to stick together, and now we can come to all the big events as we qualified for Katowice this time. So that's pretty much amazing for me as well, because 6 years is really really long, and I'm really
Yeah.
happy to be back at the bigger events because I think I can lead teams to these tournaments, and that's pretty good.
No, that's absolutely true. But you've said this a few times before as well, that Tricked was on the bottom of the esports food chain within Denmark, and that's completely understandable. That's completely agreeable. But the other question that is there is that everyone's always talking about how in Denmark, people are so invested in Counter Strike. There's so many more deals going on. You occasionally see like a McDonald's that has its own Counter Strike themed meals or whatever going on. All that great stuff. But with all the talk of esports infrastructure being developed in Denmark, why are there such few like organizations below the Australis Heroic North? Because a lot of other places, like for example North America, sometimes even Sweden, you at least see teams who have some sort of VC and money backing. Why was it such a sharp drop off from like Heroic to Tricked for you guys?
I think it's because like we don't have that many people in Denmark, so there's not enough people to pay like all the sponsorships and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So because Denmark is really really small, and we don't have that many people in Denmark, so I don't think we can have more than 2 or 3 organizations in Denmark that pays the right salary and stuff like that. So that's how it is, and it has been really really rough for Tricked especially because we could never make the results. We could take it into top 30, and then we will lose either 1 or 2 star players the team, and then we can start from the bottom again.
Yeah.
And that's how it has been for a really long time.
Well, in the middle, you actually did end up leaving as well. You went to alternate attacks for a while and you were playing them. And honestly, I was casting the ESL Meisterschaft League last year as well. And you can see the difference. Like, you can see the difference between them even now, the kind of structure that's in place for them, the kind of tactics that are in place for them. And I'm sure that a lot of it is because of your time over there. Why did that kind of pairing not work out for you guys? Why did you then say, hey, it's time for me to come back to my roots, come back to Tricked?
I was never really happy about my time in Alternate. I don't think we made the results I wanted to make. I was playing there for 1.5 years, and I didn't even make it into top 30 once or qualify for DreamHack Open at that point. So I think my time in Alternate Attacks was good for me as a leader, but not as a player at all, because we couldn't qualify for anything, and it was just pretty rough in every single qualifier we played. So the time in Alternate was really hard because no results was given, and some of the players on the German squad was like just happy about winning the Master Shift and the 99 Damage League, and when we did that, they could relax afterwards. So we were not on the same page what we wanted to do and what we wanted to achieve. So the time in Alternate was really really hard for me because I wanted more than we did, and some of the players didn't want to do that.
Did you ever get any offers from North American teams? Because honestly, they need in-game leaders like nothing else over there.
Yeah, I had few offers from North America, but I never left Denmark because I have a son.
Of course.
And at some point, I also had a girlfriend. So, but I will stay in Denmark, and that's the most important thing for me, that I can stay here and be together with my boy.
No, naturally, of course, that's incredibly important. Family at the end of the day has to take priority above all. But you've been talking a lot about your expectations and what you want to do and where you want to go. And back in the V4 Future Festival, I was reading an interview that you actually gave, and you said that, if I remember correctly, I think you said that your goal for the tournament was to beat NIP or MIBR. You never said that your goal for the tournament is, hey, let's go win this tournament. Even though the V4, wasn't like the biggest tournament in the world. It was very big in terms of prize money, and there was a few notable teams, but it's not like, a massive event. You've always showed realistic expectations, it seems like. Is part of that just making it so your team doesn't kind of get ahead of themselves? Is part of that, a process of, hey, I've got these young talent, I don't want them to get like a big head because they're so good on the server when they're 17 years old?
I think it's hard to say, but I think it's good to be realistic. What can we achieve? And then we can always dream about winning tournaments. But when we came to this V4 tournament, we saw that Nip had some weaknesses, and we saw especially Made in Brazil had some weaknesses. So I really wanted to beat a tier one team at that point, if we can say it like that. They might not be that anymore,
The
especially
organizations
Made in Brazil,
definitely
but
are.
yeah, exactly. So we set the goal like we want to beat one of them, and then we thought like, okay, then we're going to meet Mousesports in the final, and they might be too good for us right now. Especially when we played the final at V4, we played a really bad game. We were all of us was really nervous, and we had never tried it before to be in such a big final. So we were happy that we played against Virtus Pro in the final, because I think if we had met a better team, I think we would have lost so big, because we started to be so nervous when we had 15 rounds in the third map.
Well, speaking of Mousesports, actually, Mousesports has a coach that you actually know because Rejin was coaching Tricked Esports in the beginning of 2019 before he moved over towards Mousesports. And I was very curious about this because, I always hear in things like Thorin. I've only been around in Counter-Strike since 2015, in all fairness. So I always hear from like Thorin and people like that in their interviews that, hey, Hunden has basically trained everyone in Danish Counter-Strike. Hunden has an influence over everything. Do you see that reflected right now in Mousesports now that Rejin is coaching them and they have a Danish in-game leader at the helm? Do you see some of your tactics? Do you ever see some of your style and think, hey, what the hell? Does that ever happen?
Yeah, I think they in the beginning of Mousesports, I think they took a lot of our strats from the Trick Time. I
Uh-huh.
was a bit surprised when I saw them play in the beginning, but that's how it is. Like, okay, it's working against the best teams in the world as well. If you just hit your shots, that was nice to see. So I actually started to believe more in myself and how I created my own strats, because I could see it is working against the best teams. And some of the tools I teach it Rejin to do, he also did that in Mousesports, and they were really happy about it. So I'm happy to see Alan on that team, and especially the success they have right now with being the second best team in the world. And
Oh
I
yeah.
think they can maybe even fight for the first spot in the world if they can beat Astralis once again, as they did in Odense. That was a big achievement for them, I guess.
Well, you're at a high point right now going into 2020. But like you mentioned right there, that seeing Rejin succeed underneath Mousesports was a bit of a confidence boost to you as well. And obviously, there's been a lot of low points across the years. Has there been any point where you've thought, hey, maybe I'm not the best in-game leader. Maybe I don't have what it takes. Because obviously right now, like you said, the past year has been great for you. But has that time come for you?
No, not really, actually. I think 2019 was pretty much the best year for me since forever. We started out with campaign games, the first $150K tournament, I guess it was.
Around that.
And since that tournament, we have made it to the playoffs at every single DreamHack Open, GG League, whatever we have played. We have always made it to the playoffs. So our goals has always been achieved, and that's how it has been. And we always try to set them higher and higher. And it sucks at the end of the year that you play three finals and lose all three, but in the end, when you make it to the final, I often think the final is a 50-50 game. And when you play two best of threes in one day, it's going to be rough for you, and you're going to be tired at the end of the day. So I'm really happy what we achieved this year, and I'm not sure if I'm going to leave yet, but at some point I'm going to do something different. But right now, I have not thought about that.
Okay, no, of course. It could be your best year of Counter Strike ahead of you right now from the way things are shaping out. Leipzig's coming up. I'm imagining you guys have your eyes set on the trophy for that. I was looking through the roster of teams. Honestly, none of them look like they would be favorites over you guys. You might be one of the favorites for the tournament, actually.
Yeah, I think this DreamHack is. I think we are back to like 2018, where we saw some stacked DreamHack Opens.
Yeah.
It's nice to see this new Pro Tour for ESL, because now you win something by winning the
Hmm.
DreamHack Open. So I think it's really stacked, and I see pretty much 6 out of the 8 teams can end up winning this tournament, and that's pretty crazy for a DreamHack Open. If you look at 2019, where you
Yeah.
saw like there was always 3 or 4 bad teams, so if you didn't make it to the semi, you have played a really bad tournament. But here you can end up being last place because you either meet Big or Sprout into the elimination match or something like that. That could be like that's how it is, and I'm really happy to see the Opens being more stacked this year. It's going to be awesome to play it.
No, that's obviously one of the big advantages of the ESL Pro Tour and how it's structured. For those of you guys who are watching who don't know, the winner of the DreamHack Opens generally will be invited into a DreamHack Masters tournament as well. So this one I think is going into DreamHack Masters Jönköping, if I'm not wrong, and this one in DreamHack Anaheim are the two tournaments that are seeding directly into the DreamHack Masters event. It's one of the attempts to make DreamHack Opens a bit more relevant. Like you mentioned, 2019 saw them being slightly weaker, but 2019 did also see you guys getting top 2, top 4 at DreamHack Open just right now, and going into it also just getting all of these fantastic results out in terms of online qualifiers. You mentioned scheduling to me right here, and scheduling has been a problem for you guys in online qualifiers as well. If you could just generally give it out a message to tournament organizers in terms of what your ideal should look like, what do you think it should be?
I think they need to announce the schedule at least 2 or 3 weeks before you're going to play them, so you can create your schedule out of it. And especially the invites for all the close qualifiers, they need to be given out way before they do. It's like 2 days before the open qualifier, you receive one of the invites for the tournament, and that's not how it should be. Like, of course, it's good to get invited for the close qualifier, but if you could have done your schedule way better, that you don't have to play the open qualifier, then it could have been way better. But so I think the organizers needs to like come up with the schedule and the invites like 3 weeks before. That could be perfect for all the tier 2 teams as well. Like the tier 1 teams is pretty much safe right now. They know what they're going to play for the rest of the year pretty much. But a team like us, our schedule can change like in 1 week, and then we have to change boot camps and stuff like that, and that's pretty rough to live with, I guess.
How are you guys boot camping right now? Do you have like a team house or something on those lines?
We have a team house in Madrid. That's pretty sick, actually. We are going to share it with the Spanish League of Legends team, I guess it is. But the house is pretty big, and there's a swimming pool. There's everything in that house. That's crazy. But our next boot camp will be in Copenhagen 5 days before Leipzig, DreamHack Leipzig. So we're going to boot camp in Copenhagen, and then we go instantly to Leipzig and hope for 4 days, and then we go to London and play our next tournament as well. So our schedule for the next 3 weeks is going to be pretty stacked, and we're looking forward to play all these tournaments.
London is the Ice Challenge, right? Okay, I actually, this goes to show you how bad I am at interviewing. I didn't realize you guys were there as well. Haha, great. Fantastic. No, but speaking of the team house in Madrid, actually, I wanted to ask you guys this as well. When you're in Mad Lions, it's not just about having a big name behind you. It's also the fact that there's a lot of this Spanish presence behind the brand, because obviously they're huge in League of Legends Spain. They're the best team in Spanish League of Legends in the not the LEC, the league right below the LEC as well. I don't know if you've had this before, but how does it feel having this entire huge fan base just coming in with an organization name now? There's this entire like Spanish banner behind you as well, not just the Danish banner. How are your players reacting to that?
Yeah, I think it's so fucking nice to see all the support you get when you're winning games, also when you're losing games. We need to get used to that, because our fan base in Trick was like a small city in Denmark. We had like 1,000 fans or something like that. Now we have 100,000 or something like that. So we need to get used to that, and we need to use them on our side as well. And it was so nice to see all the support we got in Sevilla when we played the games. Even though we were Danish, they supported Mad Lions so much, and it was so nice to play on the stage all the time. Even though we lost the semi, we got so much support from the Spanish crowd, and that was nice to feel and see like, okay, we have a home crowd here, and we want to play more tournament in Spain as well. So that could be great to do that one more time this year.
Oh no, I'm sure that'll be lots of fun. I'm sure there'll be a lot of fun activities as well. Mad Lions is a team with some great activations going on. I follow a few of their League of Legends stuff. It looks very cool. But this is the part of the interview where to those of you guys who are watching, before the interview started, I told Hunden, like, I'm very sorry. There will be some questions that will come off as impolite. I don't mean them that way at all. And this is the big question that I've been waiting for. Hunden, in 2017, we saw Heroic come to a sharp rise. They they qualified for Katowice as well. They beat G2, and this was the G2, which was this revived superstar French team with Shox and Kenny. I casted that game, I remember this. And they qualified for Katowice that way. In 2018, we had Fraxters on the rise, and Fraxters beat North out in Copenhagen Games finals. Fraxters did really well in XBet something or something. It was a Star Ladder tournament, $100,000 tournament or whatever. they did really well as well, and they were on the rise. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, Refresh is the best player in the world. Cloud9, go get him," and all of this stuff. In 2019, we see Tricked coming up on the rise. The one team that we've seen before is that these teams fizzle out and become kind of mediocre, sometimes irrelevant. How are you guys different from them?
I think we're different in that way that we got a way bigger organization behind us. That's one of the key things about behind everything. Like when the Fraxis guys did some good results, they wanted to find a new organization. It was not possible, but we were so lucky to get a new home, so we could grow even more than we did in 2019. So we are not going to give up here, and I think our team is a bit different as well because we have a strong leader in me, and we have Peacemaker with us now as well. We didn't have a coach with us for full time in 2019, so I did everything by myself. So we have so many good things to come up with here in 2020, and I think we can already see it on our play style here in the 2 qualifiers we played. That Peacemaker have so many good ideas, and that's why this team is different from Heroic in 2017 and Fraxis in 2018. So I'm pretty sure we are going to make some great results here in 2020.
All right, let's hope for it. Speaking of Peacemaker, listen, let's address the elephant in the room. He is someone who does not have the best of reputation in the Counter-Strike community, and for good and bad reasons. There are people who will strawman him, there's people who will not understand his point of view, but there's also people who, very rightly point out that there were certain decisions that he made that maybe you'd question them and whatnot. What's he like to a team like yours, where you are already such a strong voice? You're already, you are, if you're in a team of fresh talents, they have to respect who you are. What's it like having, Peacemaker coming in? What's he like in a team?
He's a bit different to me. I think he's a bit surprised that I'm not doing the things that structured as people think I am. So he tries to bring even more structure to the team, and that's good. I finally have a right hand to help me out with everything, and that's perfect. He can show some new strats. He's helping me a lot. But when we are losing games and stuff like that, sometimes Lewis is fighting a lot because we're not sure how to approach the game in the end, because he got some ideas, I have some ideas. So this is still a process between me and him, and I think we will fix it in few weeks, so we are on the same page all the time. I think we took like 50 hours together in the Christmas break, where we just talked strats and how we wanted to approach each map and all those things, change strats, change roles, do everything, so we are closer to each other. And it's important for Lewis that me and him is really good friends as well, so we're not ending up fighting in the middle of a stage or something like that because we lose a stupid game. So he is a bit different to me, but I like the way he sees the game, and I'm actually pretty sure that he's one of the smartest guys I have ever talked to about CS. Like he's so smart, and I'm actually surprised to see him that he's so smart, and the things he knows about the game is so fucking crazy that I'm surprised every day I wake up and see what he's going to talk about.
No, that's I'm glad that there's that combination. Have you been friends? You mentioned your friends. Have you been friends since before adding him to the roster as well?
Yeah, we met each other a few times before. So he wanted to play with me, and I always wanted to have a coach like him on the team. So I'm really happy to work with him now, and that's so perfect for me. And I'm really looking forward to see how it's going to happen here in 2020.
No, that's good to hear. Hopefully, the whatever issues that might have come up between him and teams in the past aren't there as well. And hopefully, it's a smooth transition for everyone. I'm sure he's someone who can bring a lot to the team. He does have a lot of storied past behind him as well. So hopefully, bygones can be bygones at the very least. But I was actually very curious about your perspective on something else as well, which is that I've noticed this interesting thing, and I am a pleb at Counter-Strike, as I'm hoping that most people who are watching this will be as well. So I don't understand this, which is that, like I mentioned before, there's been Danish teams that come up on the rise, and they're suddenly very good, and they're doing pretty well on tier 2 events, and they're beating some top 10, like lower top 10 teams as well in best of threes. And we also see this with mixed teams. So we see these with mixed teams like Imperial back in the day, like Valiance back in the day. Sure, they turned to crazy and eventually became really, really good. But even now, the crazy that there is after Nexa and Hunter have departed. And this is very common. But even though they're very different styles, be it like a mixed team, a Brazilian team like Furia, or a Danish team which generally is much more structured, they're drastically opposite styles. But at the end of the day, they all seem to fizzle out after that 3 to 4 month period. Why do you think that is? Because on one end, I'd expect that, okay, fine, I understand that maybe play can be telegraphed, but despite they being radically different styles, that you'd expect that one of them would at least work out, but that doesn't happen.
That's a hard question. I think it's like when you start out, like when you start to do some great results, and you go back and practice again. There might be either a coach or in-game leader that want to change something to make it even better. Maybe change some positions on the CT sides, and then people start to lose the confidence because they don't do it right. Out of nowhere, Esperanto and Letny had to change position or something like that, and then Esperanto lose all his confidence because he's playing a new spot and stuff like that. That could end up happening, and then they start to lose events, and then they try to go back to the other thing again, and out of nowhere, Letny got no confidence. That's just an example for how it can go wrong because people don't know how to approach each other to change things to make it even better. And in the way we do it is like we talk a lot about what we can do better, what we need to do better, and then we take it slowly, and pretty much every single player on my team is believing me what I'm saying when I want to change something. But I also have to come up with my arguments why I want to change it, because I cannot just say, "Oh, you go B now, I go A," because I can kill them better than you can. I need to come up with some arguments why I want to change it and why I want to do it like this. And I don't think they do that on every single team. They just change things because they think it will be better and they will get a new honeymoon period, and that's why they change things, I guess, sometimes.
So the other thing that I kind of wanted your perspective on, because you brought up Esperanto as well, is that this entire team that we're seeing more and more of, hey, in-game leader wrong, star player become in-game leader. And I'm not just talking about the French scene or anything. We literally saw at one point, I think Esperanto asked for the removal of Crystal from Team Imperial. We saw, I think Tabson is now in-game leading for Big, and his game has dropped down sharply as well, which is understandable. What does it take, like, genuinely, if you had to tell a star player what it took to be a great in-game leader, even on a tier 2 level, just say the words right now. Just look out into the distance, think of that one guy who told you once upon a time that, you know what, I could do it better than you, and tell me what you want to say to them.
I think I don't think it's working out like that. But I think you need something special in your mind if you want to be the in-game leader. Of course, like you can take over and try to do the calls, but right now we haven't seen it yet. It is working out at all. Like FaZe is struggling a lot, Big is struggling a lot. The only in-game leader I can see who is doing the same results as they did before is Spitty from Sprout. Like they're bottom of top 30, and they have always been there, even though they had Cyclone at some point, the Danish in-game leader. So I think you need a special mindset to be a good in-game leader. Tabson was leaded by GOB for 4 years or something like that, and he don't call in the same way as he did. We can see that, and it's a matter of understand the timing for CS, understand what rotations they do. Just not okay. We can just run up and shoot them. Of course, they can do that because they have a really good aim. There was a star player before, but if they don't hit the perfect timing, then they might run into some kind of a stack or all those things is I think it's like you don't just become an in-game leader. And we can also see that on North. Gade is the in-game leader now. What the fuck is that? We have so many good in-game leaders in Denmark, and they end up with Gade as the in-game leader. It makes no sense to me. Like, and of course, Gade is doing a good job, and they improve each week, each month. But I still don't see that as the solution for them. They need, I don't know who they need, but they need an in-game leader who has done it before. And when they get that, I think they will be back in top 15 at some point.
You think MSL is going to come back?
I'm not sure if MSL will come back. Like, I think they have some beef between him and North. I remember at the London Major, he started to flame the headsets, and the headsets was SteelSeries, and the head sponsor for North was SteelSeries at that point, so that was not good.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if MSL will ever go back to North, but I think that there's some kind of a beef. But they got a new CEO as well, so it might end up with MSL in North again, and I could see that work out as well. But I'm not sure about that.
MSL is one of the few players who, for some reason have not been on a team for a long time. There's a few of those these days. If you had to, like, if an angel investor came to you right now, could you name a few players off the top of your head who you think in 2020 are going to come back with the bang in CS:GO?
I think MSL will come back for sure. And when he comes back, like we saw, he had the NA team. They won against Liquid and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
he knows how to lead a team. He knows how to do a good job. And we can all agree that right now North needs a guy like him. So if he came back to North, I think they could really fight for the second spot in Denmark again. If he decides to drop the MVP and be the rifler again, because I don't see him as the MVP player. He's not good enough to play that role. Let him be the entry fragger again, and then they will do really good results with him on any kind of team he's going to. Either if it's North, Face, whatever it is, he will do some great results when he's coming back to Counter Strike in 2020.
Are there any other players you think who are going to make a big return in CS? I mean, Config won't be making a big return, but I saw him tweeting out recently as well that, hey, people, if you think I'm like washed up, think again or something. He said it's different words, but let's say think again. Do you think there's any other players in general who you're looking out for?
I'm actually hoping for Config being back at the 2016 style again.
Yeah.
That was amazing to see. And I played a lot of pucks with him in between Christmas and New Year, and it was nice to talk with him again and hear what he's thinking about. And if he do what he's saying to me, like he's going to play 10 hours each day, also when they don't practice and stuff like that. He haven't done that for 3 years now or something like that. So I hope he will come back as well. But there's one player in Denmark I hope to see back on the top, and that's Nico for sure. It sucks to see him out of the server right now because he's under the contract with Optic. And I just hope to see him back on the server, not in the supportive role, but in the star role again, because he is one of the best players I have ever played with, and I hope to see him back sooner or later.
No, that's interesting. I was hoping you'd say something about Refresh over there, but I suppose he, obviously much younger talent. What do you think? What do you think went wrong over there?
Yeah, I think he's also stuck on some kind of an Optic contract, and I don't think anyone wants to touch him right now. He didn't do a good job in Optic with a structured style, but he's coming back now and playing with Ambush, I guess it is, in a lot of HLTV matches, and he got the good rating again. But if he can't work out under a lot of structure, then I don't see him on a tier 2 team or anything like that. But he's a big grinder, and he loves the game. He's playing so much Counter Strike that I think he's one of them in Denmark who's playing most Counter Strike right now. So I hope to see him back, but I think he needs to take a step back down in the rankings and grind it up again, and hope to be back in what team he could end up, Mad Lions, North, Heroic, whatever it is, and then he can be back here again in the end of next year.
Sorry, I'm just gonna quickly make sure something's working fine. Okay, this is fine now. Sorry, just some issues come up sometimes.
It's okay.
Anyhow, no, absolutely. Hopefully, he can figure those things out as well. A little bit more on the overall structure of Counter-Strike, because we're seeing it change in 2020, and the organization is one that has historically been heavily in favor of franchise leagues. Back when they were Splice, they were involved in the entire PAA thing, if memory serves. But even other than that, of course, they have a League of Legends spot. They have a Call of Duty League spot as well, or an Overwatch spot. One of the two. It was one of the. Oh, great. There you go.
Both of them. So.
There's been a lot of rumors of franchise leagues going about, and I say rumors, but DK has reported on them, so you don't have to say anything. I'm going to say they confirmed. You can just generally give me your thoughts on franchise leagues within Counter-Strike and how much they needed from the perspective of players.
I think it's how to say it. Like, I think it's North Americans like it a lot with closed leagues and stuff like that. They used to do that in NFL and stuff like that. I'm not sure how much I like it actually, but I think it's the way that Counter-Strike needs to go if they want to be at top contender for esports titles. So I think we need some leagues here, and if we're going to have two leagues with the Pro League and the other one, I'm not sure what it's called. That's good for Counter-Strike, I guess. And I'm looking forward to see how it will end up with all the teams going to play two different leagues. I think that in the end of the day, the major is going to be extremely exciting because Liquid and maybe Astralis will not play in the same league, but they might end up meeting each other in the grand final of the major, and that will be extremely good for Counter
Oh
Strike.
yeah.
And we might see some new viewers into the game and stuff like that, and we can create these new stories. Okay, Astralis won this league, Liquid won the ESL Pro League, whatever they won, and now they're going to meet each other in the final. Who is actually the best team in the world right now? We don't know because they haven't played each other 10 times the last 3 months. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm going to be extremely excited about it actually.
Oh no, that should be super cool. Especially, I mean, this is probably a bad analogy, but like back in the day with the WWE and the Raw, and if you're bringing those together, something on those lines would be very, very cool. And obviously, new storylines, new viewership. That's who doesn't want more of that. Back to Mad Lines and last few questions right here. Firstly, we discussed before you're very realistic about your expectations. What do you expect from Katowice? What are you guys aiming for?
I hope we can continue our playoff streak. To be honest, that could be awesome to make it into top 6 or whatever it is to make it to the quarterfinal. I think it depends on the first game. Like it's a best of one against the top 4 team in the world or something like that. If I
Is
can
it
see
still a best
the
of one? I think it's
seedings.
a best of three now.
Okay, that's even better for us, I guess.
Uh,
I haven't seen the format or anything, but Pro League this year was just best of one. Maybe it's best of 3 now. That could
because I
be
think
perfect for us.
I think one of the ESL people last year, because Torrent one of Torrent's major criticisms of the Pro Tour was the entire best of one first round as well. I think it was I can't remember the exact, but it has a ULCHRICH. I don't know how it's pronounced. I think Ulrich Schulz or something. He's
Ulrich.
VP. Yeah, he's VP of PR, I think, of ESL, and he said that there's
Okay.
going to be a best of three. But again, this is just a Reddit comment that I remember, so I might be misquoting him. Flying DJ 13. So he
Yeah.
said
Okay.
it's going to be best of three
Yeah.
first one. Yeah.
But I think we have a good chance to do some upsets. When we made in Brazil at V4 this year, when I did the veto, I could just look at them. They didn't prepare for anything, and if people don't prepare for us, they're going to be wrecked, and that's for sure. So if people don't prepare for us, then they can prepare to lose for us as well. Like, and that's what made Brazil did. They didn't prepare anything, and after I did the veto, I went over to my coach and said they're not sure what they're going to hit them soon, and we just owned them like we should have won Overpass 16-3 when we started T and Overpass and stuff like that. So everything can happen, I guess, and I think some of the top teams will be surprised to see how good we actually are and how much structure we have and how good executes we have. So if they don't prepare, they're going to lose. That's for sure.
Well, let's see. There's also the ice challenge in between. So if you guys end up winning Leipzig and the ice challenge, then people are definitely going to be preparing of that. And preparation is something to be considered, which is that across 2020, obviously you guys are probably going to rise a bit more, a lot more. At the very least, I'm expecting you guys to make top 20 pretty soon. If you're not there already, I think you're on 22 right now. But
19. Just
oh,
updated.
sorry. I'm sorry. There you go. There you go. Already in the top 20.
Thank you.
Easy segue right there. But people will start preparing more, and that's absolutely going to happen. Across 2020, what are your goals as a team? Like, what does your organization expect of you? What do you expect of the teams? What do the players expect?
Mm, us as a team, I see ourselves we could end up being a top 10 contender this year, especially after qualifying for Katowice and Leipzig. There's a good chance we could end up being there if we do some good results. Also, the London Ice Challenge thing. If we just do some decent results, good results there, I think we could already be a contender for top 10 at that point. And when we look at the rankings right now, I don't see any teams we can't beat right now around us, and that's a good thing. Like we have been in top 20 since July or something like that. So I think it's time to take the next step, and the next step will also be that we need to improve our map pool and improve our strats because right now we see a lot of teams doing our strats and they have already figured out that we have some really good things in our map pool and in our strat book as well. So we're going to change a lot of things and we're going to make some new things, and that's why it's important that we have a guy like Lewis behind us now because he got so many ideas and so many threads and he's watching like 100 demos each week, so we have so many new things to come up with and people will cannot prepare that much for us, I guess.
No, absolutely. That sounds fantastic. And honestly, I'm excited for 2020. I'm always excited for a Hunden team, and I'm super excited to see what you're going to do with this fantastic new organization. Hunden, thank you so much for the interview. Do you have any quick parting words that you want to give out?
Uh, Overall, just thanks a lot to Mad Lions. It was, I don't know, it was so important that they bought us, and we are really happy to be here, and we're happy that they are happy about the results we are doing right now, and we're going to make them even more happy after Katowice, that's for sure.
You heard it here, folks. Spain rejoice, Denmark rejoice. You will have new kings coming your way soon. This has been TeaTime. This has been Hunden. Thank you so much for watching. We're signing off.